All right, if I could have your attention, we'll call the Loudon City Council workshop for March to order. We have two signed in to address the council, and that is Sarah Bivens. So if you can, please come up to the podium.
Although the courthouse is owned by the county, it is in the city, and it's the heart of the city. And as you probably already know, the county is now in the process of designing a new building that they plan to put on the square. Although you, the city, have offered them other sites. So I'm here to ask you to consider ways that you might change their mind, do things to prevent them from destroying the square. One of the ideas I thought of is perhaps you could appeal to the state to protect the square based on the fact that it is on the National Register of Historic Places under the National Park Service, and that its significant history dates back to 1817 and precedes the time the county was created, and is the most single significant asset the city has to offer. Appeal to the county commission by once again offering them a choice of available sites for a new building if they are determined to build one, and relate to them the need for the city to preserve the square for many of the citizens who live in and out around Loudon. And possibly pass city ordinances, anything you can think of that would prevent them or make it, because if they do proceed, parking will be a nightmare down there. And if they threaten to build it at the Justice Center like they have in the past, get a restraining order and sue the county, keep it in the county seat. I don't claim to know the best way that the city could approach this issue, but I do know in the past the city has saved the square countless times through the years. One time they closed the street. Various historians have told me different things the city has done. But anyway, visitors who come here, they always remark about how beautiful the setting is of the courthouse and the square. And I'm just making a plea. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Bivens. I think we all share some of those same thoughts. We've tried to be very cooperative with the county, and we'll continue to do so. Thanks for your suggestions. John Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I've been coming to these meetings, I guess, for about a year now. I'm a resident of Loudon for 4 years, pay taxes. And I've seen the worst in these meetings, going back to the darn cat lady saga and some other things. And I've seen the best. I've seen you all really, really do good business. And I was really displeased at the last council meeting when, you know, there's still infighting going on. I'm just getting sick and tired of it. And I know the residents are getting tired of it too. And I just urge you all to lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. Let people, you know, do your jobs and quit infighting. And if you don't want to do it, just step aside. Someone else will step up. But anyway, I've seen the best of you. I know you all can get along and work well together. I wish you all would do that.
Thank you. Okay, that's all that's signed in on the sign-in sheet. One comment that came from our last meeting that's come up several times to me is they've encouraged, the audience has encouraged us to use the microphones. They can't always hear. So if we could try to be mindful and use the microphones for the audience participation for them to hear, that'd be a good thing, I believe. So item for consideration, the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget amendments. Major Ross.
Yes, this is in keeping with your assurance of adequate funding resolution passed at your February meeting. Here is a summary of the revisions made to the medical funding plan. fiscal impact to this increase, this year's fiscal budget is $86,736. We're requesting a budget amendment. That amendment requires 2 readings, but we're going to go ahead and put it in process for your regular meeting this month.
Okay, this was discussed last month as well. Did any council member have any questions about it? Again, it's a budget amendment that we'll have to schedule a public hearing for in 2 weeks. Any comment? Okay, so we'll do that, 6:25, public hearing.
Keisman? No, that's the next month. That's the second reading.
We don't do the first reading this month?
The first reading on your ordinance will be Monday. The public hearing will be for next month.
Oh, okay, okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So public hearing will be at 6:25.
In April.
April, right. Okay, any? Okay, the next item is the Courthouse Square Fund reallocation.
Yes, in this year's fiscal budget, $100,000 is designated from the Courthouse Square Fund for use for preliminary engineering and design for our Riverwalk. That is an 80/20 Tennessee Department of Transportation construction grant. The grant does not cover preliminary engineering and design. We have some due dates, some timeframes to comply with for that federal grant. Essentially, we had to have all the plans and specs complete and put out to bid in May. And if you recall, the citizen, Ms. Bivens, your comments at the beginning of the meeting, ma'am, it seems that the downtown area, the pieces that are coming into place are somewhat in flux. And we thought we would be remiss if we designed something and then had to go back to TDOT and the federal government later and have to change it. And so we essentially returned that grant this year with strong assurance that we'll be set up for the same grant next year. It's a timing thing. Now, in the meantime, we've had requests from several Loudon merchants and downtown entities, nonprofits, for use of Courthouse Square dollars. These include the Dunbar School, the Rogers Building, the Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Downtown Depot. These requests vary from awnings to signs to facade improvements. And what I'm putting forward to you is if we can't spend it on preliminary engineering design this year, can we amend our budget to transfer that $100,000 of Courthouse Square dollars into this grant program to facilitate the needs of grant applicants, some of which could be those that I listed to you that have expressed an interest.
I think it's a good use of the money. I mean, those requests fall within the guidelines of what we have established. Any questions from council about it?
Are we gonna do some kind of public notice that these funds are available if anybody wants to apply for them?
This is part of that. This public meeting is in a sense a beginning of that advertisement. We'll make the grant applications available as we always do. We didn't do an allocation this year, but we'll get the word out if the funding is approved.
And that money was just earmarked to take care of engineering design and stuff for the Riverwalk.
Correct.
Right at that time. So we'll just be reallocating it for it to be used for other businesses and nonprofits to apply for. Any other questions about the request?
Is this Monkey Town Brewing, is that a local company that you got on here?
But Monkey Town is looking at the depot building for expansion of its business. It currently has a business in Dayton, Tennessee, and other cities. They're looking at the depot as a possibility. And But they wanted to make some improvements, and they were asking if they could use Courthouse Square dollars for those improvements, one example of which would be a sign.
Has Dunbar School already turned in a request?
Yeah, the Dunbar School committee has expressed an interest in these funds. There's some foundational work and some roof work that they'd like to get started on the school. And they would seek funds from this allocation to do that.
Yeah, I think the committee's just trying to prioritize where they should start, foundation or roof or what, you know, so they have expressed an interest.
Are we gonna set a set amount for each person that applies?
It's based on their application. There's a set criteria. It's been in place for years.
Right.
We can even post those applications on our new website.
It's pretty straightforward, the qualifications and everything that they have to submit
Yeah.
to be approved.
So the paperwork is turned in, and then it goes before the Courthouse Square Grant Committee. Councilman James is a member of that committee.
To make sure everything's in order, allocate the funds when requested. I think it's a good use of that money.
I do too.
I agree.
Okay. So we
Based on your feedback, we'll
put that
join that in a budget amendment to ride alongside the medical plan funding increase.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay, next item on the agenda is the RV park ordinance. This is something that came before the planning commission first of this month, and it's now been sent to us as a recommendation from them. So, Manager Ross, I'll let you expand on that.
This did come before the planning commission on Wednesday. The developer was present. They do seek an RV park on Matlock Bend. This would be off of Corporate Park Drive. And we just don't have a regulatory framework for this type of activity in our current code. Chief Brubaker, Travis Gray, and others have been working on this, and it is a work in progress. I was told as late as today that they would still like to make some revisions to it, including revisions that would address drainage and stormwater. But we think we might be able to have that completed by your regular meeting in 2 weeks. And that could, again, if all the work is satisfactory and it meets the approval of public safety, we can set you up for your first reading at your regular meeting this March.
This is a trend that's growing, and we need to have something in place.
What kind of zoning would they have to have?
It's C2, I think.
It's a commercial enterprise. The property that they're looking at off of Corporate Park Drive,
And that wouldn't be a problem for us to zone whatever they need?
it would have to be rezoned. It's not current.
I know what it is, but I
Yeah,
mean,
but
it wouldn't be a problem.
it shouldn't be a problem. Of course, we'll go before the planning commission and then come back to this body. But that would be the next step in the process. Is
And
that
that zoning wouldn't clash with Lighthouse Point and what they plan to do down there with it?
well that zoning process. The property would be posted,
Yeah,
and then it would
because
have
it
to-
does back up to Lighthouse Point.
That's correct.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I know what's there.
I believe they were 73 acres.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, it runs from, if you turn off on the Matlock Bend, go up to the top there with a curve, turns a sharp right, you went straight up that driveway and runs straight out down to the river right there, between the Corporate Park and there.
Yep.
I know the property very well.
It's quite a vision, but we just did not have the regulatory framework in place to address things that are needed, like a clubhouse, restrooms, water, sewer, and the different things,
And the appropriate amount of parking.
an appropriate amount of parking, things that would make it first class and worthy of Loudon.
Once we approve this ordinance, so can we not go back and amend to that ordinance as we see fit?
Yes, you can change an ordinance after the fact.
But you've got a copy of that. It's all marked draft, so, take the opportunity to look over it and said we may have some more changes before our next meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any questions about that? Okay. Next item is the agenda item request form. This kind of came up, I think, from citizens. Manager Ross.
Yeah, I call this the Roger Nash form. He very interested in having more information before the night of the meeting. It's not rocket science. We put together a form that invites descriptive words of what someone would like to have on the agenda. And this is a draft that I think would be useful. I think it would be transparent and let everyone know what's going on. It's not government in the shadows, it's government in the sunshine.
It's pretty straightforward. Director Curtis, I think, put it on there. I went through it just as an example to try it, and it was very user-friendly. So, and I think the public does deserve the right to know what's going to be discussed prior to our meeting. So any questions about this, or any item that you would need to be, you'd like to see on the agenda, you just fill out this request form, send it to Nicole, it would get placed on by the deadline, it would get put on the agenda. Some sort of small paragraph, sentence or two about the subject matter. Straightforward.
We asked to have the form submitted by noon on Wednesday. That gives us the opportunity to draft on Wednesday afternoon and Thursday so that we can promptly put it out on Friday.
And those agendas are posted online so the public can see those and know what's going to be addressed. Okay, any questions about that? Form? I think it's a step in the right direction to structure our meeting. Okay. Next item is a traffic signal request to TDOT for I-75 southbound ramp at exit 72.
This comes direct from our strategic plan, which is to make exit 72 more inviting. Currently, exit 72 has no traffic signals. It's look both ways and then punch it as you come off the exit ramp. We can improve our exit aesthetically. We can improve our exit from a safety standpoint with signals. We've been in an extended conversation with TDOT about this. They are willing to make the southbound ramp a spot safety project, but they do want a commitment from the city of Loudon of $50,000 to create this project. It would create a turn lane on the ramp along with the signalization there at the intersection of the southbound ramp and Highway 72. The project cost approximately $150,000 to $200,000, but we compete for TDOT attention in dollars, just like every other community in Tennessee, and they're asking us to pay it forward.
I have typed a letter to send to Commissioner Bright. It's coming before council for their approval.
I'm sure it'll end up being 200,000.
It looks like our commitment is going to be 50,000.
That's not bad,
You know, for that. That's what they're.
considering what you're gonna get for it.
Any questions about that? I know it's been brought up from citizens to me personally, I'm sure some of y'all as well, about the need for that signal.
At this point, it's just a letter, but it does put us in the queue for the project to take place.
So I don't know, is there any council action needs to take place on that? It's just information at this point.
I think the council would need to contemplate, understand, and approve the idea of having $50,000 in a future budget to cover this project.
So that could come up in budget discussions.
Yes.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is Park and Recreation Department, 2 vehicle replacement program trades.
Yeah, Mark Carroll informs me that two Parks and Rec Ford vehicles are in line for the Ford government vehicle replacement plan. In addition to that, and I'm sorry, I just got complete information today, it's a minor matter, it's housekeeping. It has zero impact to your budget, it's actually budget positive. Director Harrell would like to trade a trailer that's currently used by the Parks and Rec Department to haul mulch and do various odds and ends. It's a 2013 model, but they're not happy with the structure of the trailer and the size of the side railing. They would like a different trailer that has more utility to do more jobs. There is a local trailer manufacturer, Outlaw Trailer, who's worked out a trade, and the trade difference would be $2,915, and Mark has in his budget $3,500. So this is less money than he's authorized to spend, but we're just asking you to surplus the old trailer so that it could be used in a trade.
Okay.
We'll bring that to you at your regular meeting, the surplus of the trailer.
Sounds like a good suggestion. Any questions about surplus of the trailer? Like I said, that just came along with that item on your agenda. One apology I want to make, I guess, to the public last meeting, when a change was made to the agenda, after the agenda was adopted, before it was adopted, we should have allowed public comments again for that. So if, in the case where an agenda gets changed, something gets added to it, we will allow public comments to address that. So that was incorrect on my part. I checked with them tasks, and that was something that we should have allowed at that time. So, all right, I think checking with the department heads, I think Chief Webb has something he wants to report on.
Oh, yes, sir, got a couple things. This past Friday night, the City of Loudon Police Department conducted a beer sting of all 23 of our permit holders that had both off and on premises permits. We utilized the officers. We've got some volunteers that are underage, I guess you could say potential consumers. And so we used our volunteers, and we were able, well, I shouldn't say able, unfortunately, we had 6 of the permit holders that were not in compliance. So the actual employees of the establishments have been cited in the General Sessions Court. And I had coordinated with our city recorder, Nicole Curtis, about who all held the permits. And so I'll communicate back to her the 6 violations, and I spoke to her before the meeting. She'll notify the beer board so they can take their appropriate action.
Okay. I was surprised at 6. I was surprised the number was.
Yeah, really I was. I didn't anticipate that would happen, particularly one of the volunteers that we use. She looks like she's 16 years old. I never thought it would happen, but it did. And that's why we do it, to make sure that the permit holders are in compliance.
Okay.
Then the other thing I wanted to tell you is sort of on the spur of the moment last week, because the tragedy that occurred in Middle Tennessee was something that happened on the spur of the moment. Our firefighters and police officers had an idea that they'd like to give the community the opportunity to participate with the help and helping the folks over in Middle Tennessee. And so on the spur of the moment, many of you probably seen, we publicized it on Facebook. We set up a collection point for supplies out here where the old Food City used to be located, in front of the Goodwill and the Farmer's Home Furnishing. I had about 25 folks that came and helped us out there. We had the use of a vehicle by Caldwell Motor Company. Jimmy Caldwell donated the use of a great big box truck. I think it had like a 4,000-pound capacity. I was asked by somebody earlier, do I know how many pounds of materials and stuff that was donated? And I'll just say that the truck was at capacity. It's a 14,000-pound gross vehicle weight. I think the truck itself probably weighs about 10,000 pounds, wouldn't you say, Johnny? And so we probably had we were at capacity. Well, the community turned out in a big way. We were set up in case we had too much articles donated. Dustin Martin from Outlaw Trailers that the manager mentioned earlier, he brought us a trailer out there. If we filled that truck up, we were going to pull a trailer. Dustin was going to loan us one of his trailers. And so anyway, we spent from 10 a.m. until 4 o'clock on Saturday. There were hundreds of people come out and brought thousands of items, packed that thing up, and a couple of my officers today delivered it to Putnam County Sheriff's Department. And they said that what they had witnessed over there was just unbelievably brutal, how bad that storm had torn up the community. And obviously, I think 18 folks in that county had lost their lives in that storm. And so, but our community had the opportunity, and just like we thought they would, to show the volunteer spirit to help our neighbors out in Middle Tennessee. And so, I just anybody that thank them, thank them for their participation. And so it was a real positive thing, and it all culminated today. We got everything successfully delivered.
Yeah, it was a well-attended event, I thought, when I was there. A lot of activity going on, a lot of stuff being donated. It was a good thing. I think that was the only director that had a report. Looks like that's everything on the agenda we had for tonight. So we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank y'all for coming.